Welcome to our monthly community corner. Thank you so much for tuning in, whether you are joining us live or you're watching the replay. Our aim is for you to leave here empowered, inspired, and informed, and that you'll not keep the information to yourself, but share it with others so they too can be informed, empowered, and inspired going forward. And for this forum, we go live every third Thursday for Community Corner, and we are going to be focusing on university survival guide, and our guests will be telling us about the things they wish they knew before they started university. So whether you are in university or you're looking to go into university in the future, or if you're a parent that wants to get some additional information, hear what's going on with the young people, stick around and share the link so others can join us. Feel free to share where you're joining us from, and listen out for the engagement section where we'll ask you to share your thoughts. So help me make welcome to the Student Resource Connector Community Corner, Siphany Walters. Siphany is the General Secretary for the Jamaica Union of Tertiary Students, President's Assistant, UTech Jamaica Students Union Council, and she is currently navigating university life. And Siphany is joined by Clevena Brown, who is our graduating UE student, focused marketing and journalism, and she'll be sharing with us some university survival insights. She's about to graduate. Congratulations, Clevena, on making it to this leg of the ladder, right?
Yes.
All right, welcome, ladies. So great to have you sharing with us.
Thank you.
So Siphany, there's always an opportunity. Pleasure. Always an opportunity. Siphany was supposed to join us for our Youth in Action Forum last month, but she had competing interests, but she's back. So there's always a platform here for our youth leaders, and we are looking forward to hearing what you have to share about your unique experience. It might be a little different from others, but the objective here is for others not to go through the rigors that you might have going through, but to make it a little easier for them to navigate. So let's get started. Siphany, as a current student leader and active member of the UTech community, how has your involvement shaped your university experience? Talk to us.
Well, my involvement in student leadership has shaped the person that I am today. I was once a shy person, a bit reserved, but now I'm more outspoken. I have a passion for leadership and volunteerism, and I believe that I've impacted others with what I've gained through whether networking or various retreats or training that I've gained. I don't only keep it to myself, but try as best as possible to share with others, and the different qualities or different skills that I've learned. That's what I use to navigate the space. So even though I might be in the classroom, I use even some of the same knowledge from leadership to apply it to the classroom setting and also to my peers. And I think without leadership, I don't think I would have that wholesome balance or fulfillment if I wasn't as involved as I am now. And that's how my university life has been shaped through leadership and how I've been impacted through leadership and helping others.
Awesome. What year are you in now?
So I'm in my final year at UTech, and I'm currently pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Medical Technology.
All right.
Yes.
Way to go. All right. So you're a year behind Clevena.
On the last.
All right. Yes. All right. Before we move on to Clevena, what's one thing you wish you knew before starting your leadership journey at university?
I think one thing I wish I knew before starting my leadership journey was really to possibly see where my interests are. I'm a more behind the scenes person, but to give myself a chance to really understand the different roles and responsibilities before entering leadership. I think I wish I knew that more.
All right. So what have you learned so far that you can share with someone else who might be looking to get into leadership
Okay,
to
so what
help
I've learned,
them through that leg, right?
okay, so what I've learned so far is that it's very important to have a balance between academics and anything that you're involved in, whether sports or extracurricular activities, sorry. And in this case, leadership. So find where your passion lies and the reason why you're entering the leadership space. Don't enter it just because you want a title or you think it's fun. You have to have a passion for it and also network with others because you can't do it alone.
That's true.
Indeed. All right. Rick Darby is bigging you up.
Thank
Percival Roberts is in the space as well. One Sip, one Clevena, can't be two. Even if there's someone with the same name, different persona. So thank you so much for that. All right, Clevena, as a graduating student, can you share how your perspective on university life has evolved since your first year?
Okay, so when I was entering university, I think the major thing for me, I was like, I'm just gonna go to school. It's education. I'm here to get that degree. I'm just gonna go learn the basic. I just wanted to kind of go through the motions because when you're in sixth form, you hear about university, you have to focus on your books. But after completing it all 3 years, I realized it's so much more than just education. When you pay to go into university, it's not just for the books, it's for the experience, it's for the network, as Siphany would have mentioned, the people that you meet along the way, who knows you after you leave. It's so much more than just books. So I would definitely appeal to others, try to figure out yourself along the way. Don't get caught up just in the academics because there's so much more to experience beyond the books. Yeah.
Right. And they're being guided along that leg. And that is why it's so important for them to get involved from the primary school into the high school. So they are seasoned by the time they get to university, right?
Yes.
Oh, all right. So, still with you, Clavina, what's something you wish you knew before starting your journey at UA that would have made a significant difference?
I wish I knew that your journey is really your own. What I've learned after finishing university is everyone's lane is different. And you'll kind of lose focus on yourself if you keep peeping on the other lane, what someone else is doing. For example, Siphany, I am not necessarily a student leader. It's easy to be distracted when everyone's own growth. You kind of lose focus on your own. So I wish someone tapped me on the shoulder a bit more to say, focus on you. You'll be okay. Your journey is yours and it's beautiful just as next as the other person.
Well said. All right. It's early in the forum, but we're going to get right into some practical tips and guidance because we're seeking to help some people here in navigating. So, Siphany, what advice would you give to students about getting involved in student life, leadership in particular? You started earlier, but what advice would you give to those who are aspiring to be leaders?
Okay, so an advice that I give to aspiring leaders is, as I mentioned before, do your research. So there are a lot of options out there in terms of entering the leadership space. It might be a students' union, it might be a club or society, it might be even outside of the school space, but even a community club. In entering leadership, as I mentioned, you have to know your why. If you're not sure about a specific role that you're interested in, it will always be good to find the person that is in the current role or someone that was in the role before. That way, it will help you to understand, am I really fit or suited for this position, or should I explore something else? So doing research before getting into it and also finding out your passion is a two-way advice in a sense that I give to aspiring leaders, knowing your why and finding out your passion before actually entering the leadership space. And one can even start at the committee level. by basically being an understudy in a sense in a committee position and then elevating as you go along to be that and that specific role that you'd want to get into. So that's the advice that I would give.
Awesome. And how have you been balancing your academics with your leadership role?
Okay, so it took me some time, to be very honest, before I could really strike that balance. And it really boils down to consistency. So I've now found a rhythm. It took me some time, but I've now found a rhythm in order to strike that balance where I'll ensure that I try as best as possible to schedule whether any engagement I have or anything that needs my attention or help. Try to schedule that and also remind myself of the different exams or things that I need to review before class. And I've also noticed too that having a lot of alerts on your phone really helps in that balance as well, because you might get caught up in your leadership duty that you may or may not intentionally affect your academic life as well. But using tools like Notion with like the to-do task list, or even using your calendar and scheduling like different times and different days to certain duties, leadership wise or academic wise, I think that helps to strike the balance using different tools to get there. And I mean, we have our phones, there are a myriad of apps. Even if you don't want to use your alarm for alert, there are a myriad of apps that we can use to help to organize organize our schedules, organize our notes and so on. And I think using these tools have helped me in balancing because I use my phone a lot. So that's why I know that scheduling on the phone, using the calendar, and even alerts like alarms really helps to balance the workload of both areas. And also, if you're a person that likes to write them down and read them. Trust me, it works.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for delving in that, because this is Toronto Resource Connector and we want people to leave with practical tips and tools that they can use, because I can attest to the calendar because I have different color codes for my calendar, and what I do is use different colors. So for business, for my volunteer functions, and my personal, so there are different color codes, and I look on it and I say, no, I need to add some more to my personal. Yeah, we need to make sure it's balancing here. All right, and not too much of one thing.
Yes.
Right, we have to keep it real. All right, awesome. So Clevena, what are 3 key preparations you would recommend for incoming university students?
Okay, so for someone who's incoming, I definitely recommend, especially if you're living on campus, figure out what banks are at your university, because it's way easier for either your parents, whoever, to be able to send you money. You could go to the ATM if it's a bank that you are a part of. So figure it out, because I know for me, one of my preparations, my father was definitely like, Clevena, what banks are on campus? Scotia, Sagicor, and CB, okay, figure out, and I need to get an account with either one of them or all of them, so that's way it's easier. You know, you don't have to necessarily leave your campus, and even if you're not on campus, it goes the same. Get a bank account, it makes your life so much easier. That's one. The second thing that I would definitely say is, along with Siphany, figure out what exactly your passions are. I think it's very useful for you, especially because when you want to pursue your minor in your first year, what I did, I made sure that I took my prerequisites very seriously. So from before I started university, I kind of already knew, okay, I like media, I like journalism, I like that type of thing. Let me dabble in a bit of these courses so that when it's time for me to pursue a minor, I would kind of already have the subjects, or the courses rather, that would help me to acquire it along the way. So I think that's very important. Figure out your passions and what they are. It will help you further along in your journey. Another practical tip I would say is get to know your campus. familiarize yourself with it. After all, you're going to be the one taking the classes. I know your first day of school, it's very easy to be the fresher who's always asking questions. Where do I find this? Where do I find that? But I promise you, if you take even 20 minutes before your class, just walk. Don't wait till it's 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. for the class. Walk. Leave out a little bit earlier. Try to map it out that way. When you arrive at class, you're not anxious. You can be seated, set your mind. If you're still in the phase of heading up your book, you can do that. Or if you whisper a prayer, whatever it is, you can calm down for your first class. So I'd say those are my 3 tips.
All right, great tips. All right, let's look back, Clevena. How did you manage balancing academics, extracurricular activities, and your mental health, especially in your final year?
All right, so for me, I would say I was really involved on campus. I was the co-director and a host for Guild TV. If you're not familiar with that, that's basically the university's television, so to speak, everything you need with the coverage on campus. I was involved with that. Now, what I found is that having a co-curricular that is helps with your mental space, because now me doing Guild TV is almost soothing, therapeutic to me. So even though I have classes and sometimes I have to do 6 courses, to catch up as well as summer school, Guild TV was kind of like my relief. Participating on campus was my relief as well. Having a schedule is also very important, or having a rhythm, figuring out yourself how you operate throughout the day. I think that's very important, especially when setting your timetable. You can allow yourself to flow and find a way to navigate each day. So I guess to wrap it up, I would say have a co-curricular that you find interesting, it's soothing to you, maybe it comes as second nature or you really enjoy it. Because when you have a passion, then it doesn't feel so overwhelming. It's almost like this is my relaxation. School is school, but then I have this. That's what I'd say.
And I have this. I love that. It sounds therapeutic, even here listening to you say it.
Yes.
Then now, yeah, now that you're about to graduate, what financial advice would you give to someone just starting, knowing what you know now?
Okay, that's a very good question. So for financial advice, I would say I'd go back to the bank account point. Now, for me personally, having a different bank account, for example, that I put. So for me, I did internships throughout my summer. So I was able to go on an internship with TEF. They placed me at the Jamaica Observer. I was able to do an internship with the National Arms of Jamaica. So I have a separate bank account for any money that I would receive my pay, or a stipend that I receive. I put it in that bank account that's separate from something that I would have for like pocket money. Because I noticed having the two separated in your mind, at least you can differentiate, okay, this card or this account, this is the money that I've been paid with. This is money that I need to keep away, stay away from. However, this card, this bank account, this is my pocket money too, so to speak. When you can visualize and separate the two or compartmentalize it, I would say you're less likely to spend it. And that way you can keep track of actually what you've made, so to speak. You can keep track of what you've made. It's easier to track what you spend out of it rather than having everything in a big pool, because then it kind of becomes confusing and you can easily be like, okay, I have this much money to spend, when really you don't. So I'd say separate the two. Have a personal, have a business, if you want to call it. I would say that. Give you my advice.
All right, Clevena, we're going to get all up in your business as you talk about business.
Yes.
Because in addition to being therapeutic, you were not only studying, getting that degree, but you were actually earning while you were learning
Yeah.
and using your gift. So share how you were able to use that to
Okay.
generate an income.
All right, sure. So for me, I would have been seeking out different opportunities. So as I would have said, everyone's path is different and I want everyone to embrace it. So if your path is different, you have to do something else, maybe work and travel. Anything else is fine. For me, I had to look for internships. So I was able to find an opportunity through the Ministry of Tourism. They have a program, like a summer program. And what I was able to do when you're on it, they ask you to put in your interests, anything that you think aligns with you. And I was able to use that, and I put in journalism, of course, and I was able to go through that internship, and I went to the Jamaica Observer, as well as I would have done an internship with JCDC for Reggae Month, which was in February. Now, I saw that opportunity on Instagram and I applied. I had to create a video. I believe it was less than 45 seconds or less than 60 seconds. And I had to basically pitch myself. Now, of course, I would have used my talent that I have and say why I feel like I'm the perfect reggae ambassador. And I was selected. And for that entire month of February, I was working alongside JCDC. It was a very enriching process. And I was able to use those videos that I would have created for them through my internship and put it on my personal platform. Have a little page, it's like my little portfolio. I call it Clevena Speaks on Instagram. And that was basically how I used my talent to receive different opportunities to become paid. Yeah.
All right. Talking about skills paying the bills, right?
Yeah.
So skills and gifts comes in different size and shape. All right, tread this path. Says such eloquence of these young ladies is top tier. I believe so too. Our future is bright. Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Clevena. And I trust that for those who are on, those who will be watching the replay, you start thinking about what it is that you have, your unique gifting that you can utilize to make that difference. So you can use it for your therapy as well as to create that additional funding that you need to navigate. All right. So we are going through, we already heard that university is not a bed of roses. There are challenges, but of course, we're going to help you. So we're going to share now some challenges and how we're able to navigate those in the different spaces. So we're going to start with Siphany again. Siphany is going to share the unique challenges that she has faced in her capacity as both student and leader, and how she was able to navigate those. Go ahead,
Okay.
Siphany. Right.
So,
Your challenge is your challenge based on your unique experience. So go, feel free to share. Someone will be helped.
okay, so I will share a unique challenge that I've had. Maybe it's two parts after I finished, but it's both being a student and a student leader at the same time. Sometimes what I've observed, and I think some can relate, is when we go to an office to query something, an issue, because I'm a student leader, but I'm also a student, so I have needs and issues as well. And the staff member may or may not treat me differently based on the fact that I'm a student leader. So I'll go as a regular student and observe. And whenever I get my issues solved, once I meet upon a student that has that same issue or challenge, I try as best as possible to see how I can help that student before they even visit an office. And if they have to, then I'll advise them when and where to go. Another unique challenge is sometimes the students themselves coming to us as student leaders thinking that we're a member of staff. And sometimes we do try to help them. I myself try to help them, but I may not always have the answers. And my resolution to that is to speak to a fellow colleague and also to find out, even depending on which area department their need is from, finding out who specifically should they go and speak to. So those are the challenges or lack thereof that I would have experienced thus far.
All right. And I'm sure someone somewhere it's resonating with them, if not now, in the future. All right. So, how would you advise students who want to take on leadership roles in university but are worried about managing the additional responsibilities? You shared something earlier, but just continue to build on that because they want to get involved. And it might not necessarily even be at the university stages yet, because there might be persons in high school looking to go into university, and even now they are grappling with whether or not they should get involved. Share with us.
Okay, so you mentioned something earlier, which I think a lot of student leaders may or may not be able to relate, is having leadership started from as early as primary school. So for example, let's use the high school students coming into university space and they're already student leaders from before, or have some sort of leadership role, or they have not as yet. So all three cases. If they already have a rhythm in high school, they can kind of tweak it and convert it to that in university. So what I mean by this is they would have to have balance leadership and academics in high school, and the university space is completely different. And there might be a culture shock as well that comes with it. So my advice would be, yes, it might seem pressuring at first. Should I really go into leadership, especially based on whatever experience they might have had in high school, or they're wondering, should I continue? Or if they're figuring it out from the first time, I wasn't a leader in high school, am I really fit now and ready for it? No. What I'm big on throughout this interview, I realized, is seeking your passion and also learning from others. So let's say, for example, they want to join a club or the Students' Union Council. They can visit the office or the Instagram page, find out what is required, what are the demands, what am I really getting myself into. Learning from others that are currently in the space and in that capacity can help them to make that decision. They don't have to start leadership in their first year. So they can explore, okay, I only have academics. Let me have this rhythm, this plan on how I'm going to finish first year and finish first year successfully. If I realize that I can take on something else, whether it's being a committee member or just seeing how I can volunteer at an event or something of that sort. See if I really can manage it and explore the options again by asking questions and doing research, seeing, okay, why am I, and as I mentioned, I'm always talking about the why. Why am I joining this? And how will I benefit not just myself, but others? And as I said, it might feel pressuring at first, but the person has to know why they're doing it and why they're getting into it. Because leadership does take a lot of time and responsibility. And in order for it to be effective to not just yourself and your constituents, you have to put your all, while of course balancing academics. So I really think just seeing how you work well with balancing, and even you have to also put your personal life in that as well. So balancing, figuring out that balance between academics and everything else in life, and then adding an additional area, that of leadership. Once you find that rhythm, I think it helps, because people sometimes they enter leadership, especially if they're in the space for a long time, as a just because, and not, okay, I'm really in it for the all in all, the ups and downs, the challenges, because there will be challenges, but it's also a fruitful experience. And as I said, no one is going to force someone into leadership, especially knowing that they were leaders before. But at the same time, the person has to think for themselves, am I going to do this because it's just something else I want to put on my resume because it looks fun? Or am I really doing this because I want to do this? And just seeking help is one of the big steps, but also finding your own rhythm to see how you can strike that balance will help when entering the leadership space.
All right, well said. Fantastic. Back to Clevena. What
Yes.
were some of the toughest challenges you faced in your final year, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, so some of the toughest challenges, hands down, at the start of my final year, I delayed just a tiny bit in registering for my courses. And when I tell you I regret it, please, everybody, register for your courses on time, because I had to request an override for literally everything. My sister can tell you I started the semester with my timetable blank, blank. And by the grace of God, yes, everything worked out and it filled up. But I definitely learned. You'd have thought by the time of my third year I would have realized that, but it slipped me for a bit. And the second I delayed, I had to request an override for everything. So that was very stressful. That was a very stressful way to start my final year, but obviously it worked out for me. So that was great. So that was a tough challenge I faced at the start, looking at the blank timetable, thinking, what am I going to do? Is this going to work out? Yeah, am I going to be able to graduate on time? Those are the thoughts running through my mind. The second toughest thing I would say was I am not the best with math. I think I strive very well in English. I'm a mathematician. So there's a course that I had to do, Management 2012, which is quantitative methods. I would have done that course 3 times before I passed finally on my fourth try in summer school, in summer semester. So I think what I definitely learned from that is you can't do the same things every time and expect a different result. Guys, that's madness. Please, no, figure out yourself. We kept on saying rhythm, but I think it's so important. Figure out your rhythm. How do you study? Studying is such a touchy topic for me because I don't even really think I study, so to say. How I retain information, if I'm in class and a teacher says something and I engage, I can recall that, and I do that by writing back down my notes. I write it back over again, and through writing it and seeing it and that repetition, I recall it, and that's studying to me. But to someone else, maybe Siphany, it's completely different. So figure out yourself and take the extra time. Try to find a balance. Take the extra time to spend on the subject areas that you know that you're weak on. I know it's so easy to get caught up in the courses that you love and enjoy more. So for me, I had a public speaking course. I may have spent a little bit more time, allocated a bit more time on it over the math, when I should have been focusing more on the math because I'm weaker in it. So, figure out that type of balance. And if you need help, ask for help. There isn't one degree. I promise you, there are enough degrees out there for all of us to enjoy. So, if your friend is better at something than you, ask. I have a friend and she's great in math. Why did it take me till my third year on my third time trying the course to then ask my friend, hey, did you, yeah, and she kind of was a bit familiar. So it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I could have asked for help a lot sooner. So community is very important. The people around you, the people that you call your friends, they're really your friends. Ask for help. If they're your friends, they'll help you. Utilize your network and your community around you. The name Resource Connector, connect with your people around you. They might have the resources right in front of you and you don't even know because you don't ask. If you need a tutor, no shame in the game. I had a tutor, and my tutor also helped me to pass my course. So I guess to wrap it up, I would say make use of those around you, figure out your rhythm. If you need to take a bit more time studying, maybe not go so much party, go one less party, it's fine. Do what you have to do for you. So that was the two toughest things in my final year, I'd say.
All right. I know you shared a bit of this while you were sharing about your challenges, but as someone who's about to graduate, what advice do you have for students who may struggle with academic pressure or setbacks throughout their university experience? And this will apply to those in high school as well. So just share along that line.
Definitely. So what I would say, the advice that I'd give is it's not the end of the world. I hate to break it to you, but it's not the end of the world. You'll be fine. Think back to another time when something was extremely hard for you and look at where you are now. You went past it. Because for me, when I was going through those difficulties, when I failed the math course 3 times, I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to graduate? Am I going to this? Am I going to that? It doesn't matter how long you take, you finish, you overcome it, pause, take a deep breath. You'll be fine. It's not the end of the world. That's what I'd say to anybody going through any academic struggle. Definitely that.
Thank you so much for your openness and sharing, Clevena,
Of course,
because this is how we help others,
definitely.
right? So you realize that, hey, others have been through it before and they are just fine. So we just have got to take our bounces and just move on from there. All right. This is the point where we engage with you, our audience, because you have been listening attentively. I know the ladies sound eloquent and all of that, you're engrossed in what they're sharing. But you can go ahead and ask some questions now. What one question you wish you had asked before starting university for those who are in university now? You can go ahead and share that in the chat and we'll discuss it. I think we'd asked Clevena this question before. Siphany, I don't remember asking you that one before. So while they're getting their thoughts together, if anyone is here or they want to share, if they're watching the replay and you want to ask your questions, you can go ahead and ask it there on YouTube and we will submit a response. But Siphany, share with us, what's that one question you wish you had asked before starting university?
That one question. I've
There might be more than one.
There is more than one, but I want to try to get just one. Let me just use specifically the university I'm going to. Now that I'm more experienced and in the offices that I could have gone to, the question I have is, how do I know that this program is right for me? Yes. So yes, there was the university website, but I wish I had more guidance in choosing the program before I actually went into the program. So I know that we have the research can do it, but I wish I knew that before.
All right. So now that you're looking back, how would you help someone in answering that question? Because someone else might be thinking along the same line.
So how I would help that person is really to tell them to look through the program guide. And there's this thing on UTech's program guide that has the careers in the suggestion box of this is the program where these careers belong. So thoroughly looking through the program guide before entering university, and also speaking to the current placement unit, because they can help in terms of if someone is unsure of what they want to do, they can visit the office and get advisement. So that's what I would tell that person.
All right. Clevena, you look like you're itching to add a question that you would have loved to ask before.
I think I would ask, I was thinking about it because I'm not quite sure, but I'd definitely ask someone before. But I think if anything, I would have to ask someone. It's really be almost like what Siphany said. How do I know this program is really for me? Because one of the things I would have went through while going to university is I really had to stand behind what I believe, because my major is marketing, but my minor is journalism. So halfway throughout my first year, I would have gotten recommendations from people. Maybe I should switch to IMC. But if I wasn't firm in what I would have believed in, I would have probably switched, and then I would have to do an extra year, and that may not be something that I want to do. So I think before going into university, you could ask different people, for example, make use of your network. So your what do you call it in high school? Your prefects, the prefects that would have gone ahead of you if you're still in contact.
Counselors.
Your counselors, your deputy head girl, the different things. If you're in contact with them, you could definitely reach out to them, because they would be at university before you. Ask them about their program. I would have kept in contact with my the persons who have been my prefects for my class. I would have texted them, asked them different things about the program. How is this? What do you think about that? How long is this program? Trying to map it out before I actually get there. So when I'm in my first year, it's actually a bit smoother for me. Ask for the different handbooks. That's what you would be called at UE. You know, they have different ones for different faculties. I'd want to know to research them. They have different websites for UE. You have social sciences, you have humanities. Familiarize yourself with the handbooks and just really get immersed. You have to ask questions. They say it all the while. You read for your degree, and I can confirm with you guys, it's very true. Don't take it lightly. Don't take it lightly. Read and ask the questions. Ask those before you, to figure out if this is something that you really want to do, because it's a different situation when you're in it and you realize maybe you have to switch, and then you add on years on your program length, which you probably didn't want in the first place. So that's what I'd say.
All right, that's awesome. All right. So, what's your biggest concern about those in the chat? You're not talking to us, but we're going to keep sharing with you. So we're going to share biggest concern about starting university. If parents are on, what's their biggest concern as a parent for your child entering university? We'd love to address your thoughts and your questions, but we're going to go ahead and share, Siphany, your biggest concern before you started. What was that?
My biggest concern was how was I going to finance my education? And you want the answer to the challenge?
Oh, yes. How is it going?
Okay, so this is a safe space. So let's go. I applied for a lot of scholarships entering university, and I also applied for JAMPAT, and I didn't get through for any scholarship whatsoever. However, I got through for JAMBAT. So JAMBAT really helped. And I did it, I think, 2 other times during my time here at university. And a lot of people do not like this word, but student loan. I'm also a student loan student, and there are benefits to it. So even though persons are scared to use student loan, I was not going to let that stop me from starting university, because I was determined that I was going to start university no matter what I did, because I know eventually I'm here for a purpose, and I know that I'm going to be successful and ready to repay. And there is agreement between JAMBAT and the Student Loan Bureau in terms of beneficiaries receiving both. So JAMBAT would have paid a percentage by doing volunteering hours, and that was easy for me because I love helping and love volunteering. So that's really how I financed my education thus far, through student loan and JAMBAT. So that really helped in terms of my challenge. And even, you can still get financial help from family and so on. So I've really been blessed with some really good people every now and again. So that's really how I've navigated university finance-wise.
Thank you so much for opening up, because I'm sure there are people who knew nothing about JAMVAT and that they're able to access and how they're able to utilize that as a stepping stone. So thank you so much for opening up and sharing. So if you did not know before, now you know volunteerism pays, and that's a stepping stone for you to get to where you want to go. It's not how you start, it's how you end, and you just stay committed to your goals and just keep moving. Siphany, I can't thank you enough for sharing so others can help. What about you, Clevena? Your biggest concern before starting? What would that have been?
Okay, so my biggest concern, I started my first year during COVID, and all of that was kind of very concerning times. I remember when to go on campus, you had to get the vaccine. So it was a whole thing for me to move on to campus. So I think my biggest thing was actually just leaving the nest, so to speak, going on to dorm, you're on a space with people that you've never met before. and you're trying to navigate it all, and it might feel a bit overwhelming. It definitely was for me. So my biggest concern was, how am I going to survive? I'm leaving home, I'm leaving my parents, I'm going up into this new space, I'm around so many people. When I notice as time goes by, dorm is really such an experience that I'm happy that I went through. It's different capacities, different avenues that grow you so much. Even the people that you just think you're going to be living with, they end up meaning a lot more to you. For example, my sorority sisters, I would have been still a part of a block called Champion Chalice. Big up blue every time. Those girls are my sisters. Anywhere in the world that I go, I'm connected to them. And I never thought that would have been my turnout. So I think what I would say to my younger self is it will turn out just fine. There's a community around you. For those in coming into university, there's a community around you that's just waiting to have you open arms. If it's not your hall, it's your faculty. There's so many different ways for you to be involved in your community and connect with others, and there's a space for you. I promise you, university has so many different opportunities, club, society, maybe it's even leadership like Siphany. You'll thrive and you'll flourish. So yeah.
Awesome. And this is coming from someone who is an only child. So for
Yes.
those only, if you're an only child and you've never had to share,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
that must
And
have been,
that's
yeah.
yes. So
You know,
I'm happy to hear that feedback, Clevena, the growth. All right. Tread this path, great points, but it's also okay to pivot if you find that your first choice is not in alignment. That's quite okay, right? I've been hosting this program for over 3 years now. And I started out in banking. I spent over 10 years, close to 11 years in banking.
mhm.
Yes, and some people thought I'd never leave banking because I loved banking. I put my all in it. But then I realized that my personality, wherever I go, I give it my all. So whether I'm volunteering or I'm being paid, you will not know the difference because I immerse myself and I use every opportunity as a learning, right? So even in this space, I learned so much from all the different guests who have passed through. It's just amazing, right? And for those who thought I was in broadcasting before, the closest I've been to broadcasting is actually being the chief operating officer for a cable television station. My favorite part of that 10 years was the community channel where we engaged with the community. And one of my guests told me recently that, do you know that you're reinventing cable? Never saw it that way, but if this is the path, this is the path. So this is something just to confirm what Tread This Path is sharing. By the way, she's my sister. You can navigate. So I spent over a decade in banking. Then I went and I spent 10 years in the subscriber cable television industry. I was the president for the Cable Association. So I learned just about every different aspect, technology wise and otherwise. And I've used all of that to conceptualize this space that we're sharing. We're able to continue the learning and the growing where so many people can benefit. All right. Ava, thank you for tuning in. Powerful lifelong bonds are created while studying. Indeed. Indeed. Anywhere you have commonalities formed, so even through the leadership positions, because I'm sure that the people that you serve with, wherever you go, you always have that community that you can bank on. All right, so it's what you make of the journey. So, ladies, what part of university life excites you the most? Is it the academics, social life, or gaining independence? What would you say, Siphany?
I would say the social life. And a
All
little bit
right.
of the what's the last one?
Gaining independence?
gaining independence, because I'm also an only child, and if I
Ah,
did not gain that independence, I probably still would not know how to do a lot of stuff.
all right. Thank you for clarifying that. Because for some people, gaining independence mean different things. So thank you for clarifying that. All right. What about you, Clevena?
I think the most exciting part for university would definitely be the things that I were involved in. I think we've talked about it a lot, but definitely your passion that will keep you happy throughout school, because school is kind of tough. Not kind of, it is going to be tough. None of us are telling you it's a bed of roses. It's not. So when you find something that can ease your mind and ease your thoughts, it makes it go by just a tad bit faster. So I definitely enjoyed being on Guild TV. I was definitely the girl that you find with a microphone coming to you on campus to ask you a question. Whether about an event or current affairs, time to time I would moderate something. They'd have like the Guild town hall meetings. I would moderate that and help people communicate their needs and their wants. So definitely the social aspect of school was what I found the most exciting for me.
Awesome. I know we're talking about a university survival guide, but Clavina, based on your journey, because I remember how long ago you started with that microphone and how confident you've always been with that microphone. Share with some parents for me, please, in terms of the importance of nurturing the gifts that they see in their children based on your journey.
Okay, so for what I would say is, parents, if you see your child leaning towards a certain path, if you notice them, if they play an instrument really well, or they come home and they like to draw, and you just, no matter what, you just find them in the corner drawing or scribbling. Or for me, in my case, I was always talking. No, every time my parents would get a report card, the teacher would say, "Brilliant girl, she does her work, but Clavina just talks a bit too much." No, but a parent, your child is coming home talking a lot in class, it's easy for you to get a bit caught up in it. But what my surrounding family realized when I was growing up, especially my sister, maybe this is just what she likes to do. Maybe she just has a thing for communicating and expressing. So I would say definitely look beyond what they're doing now and look at what it has the potential to grow into. So if my community around me was like, "Oh, stop the noise, stop talking," I don't know, maybe I would have lost my confidence, lost my spark. I wouldn't be where I'm now. So if you realize that they have a passion for something, they keep reoccurring or repeating a particular habit, a talent, try to find an avenue to nurture it. Try your best to uplift them and speak words of encouragement into them, because you never know where it might go, where it might lead them, who might see them. I would say just nurture it as best as you can.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I endorse that 100%.
100.
Yeah. All right. And as we wind down, Siphany, if you could give one piece of advice to someone about to start university to make their journey smoother, what would it be?
Okay, so one advice I give that person is, and it will be every university is similar in terms of how they run things. One thing I would advise that person to do is, once you get your module selection guide, when you're registered into your program, once you get your module selection guide, follow your module selection guide, because it helps you to organize what needs to and help you to figure out the way ahead. And it might sound simple because that's just selecting your subjects, but following your module selection guide will help you to navigate university easier than just picking some random subjects to do any semester, because that can be to your disadvantage. So that's the advice that I will give, the one advice that I can give.
All right. And I know that one quite well, especially when you have programs that you can finish in 3 to 4 years. So yes, you can take 4 years, but why not 3? But you have to craft it. And I know that because I studied part-time. So in terms of curating and making sure that you select the right prerequisites so that you don't spend an extra year in university. Clevena, what about you? What's your advice?
I think I would tell someone who's just starting after reflecting on my journeys, be kind to yourself. I know maybe it's a cliche thing to say, but the fact that you're in university, it's something that you should acknowledge and be proud of. So of course, pay attention to your course selection, but throughout it all, at the bottom line, be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, understand that this is your journey throughout university. It may not look like someone else's, but the end goal, everyone, you're going to be on the stage, graduating at the end of the day. So take your time and just be patient with yourself and try to figure it out. Use your community. You're not in it alone. I'd say that to someone.
Fantastic. All right. So, in one sentence, ladies, what's the most important takeaway for anyone entering a new phase, whether it's university or a community project? Siphany and then Clevena.
One takeaway entering this space, I'd say, and it's kind of similar to what Clevena said a while ago, to give yourself grace, especially in the things that you're doing, because you might think that you may not be doing it well, or you're overexerting yourself, but give yourself grace and also seek help. That's the advice that's the takeaway that I've gotten, because I've been guilty of not giving myself grace. And when I take a look back and I'm like, I shouldn't have been so hard on myself in the first place. So yes, that's a takeaway I've gotten, giving yourself grace and seeking help as well.
That's right. Your one sentence, Clev.
I think I would say embrace the journey. It's yours.
Oh,
I think
all
that's
right. And thread this path says, yes, nurture that gift. And Siphany, you're getting love. Fantastic. So, as Siphany said, this was a safe space the ladies would have shared, and it's their unique experience. But I'm sure no matter how unique or individual experiences are, it can be helpful to, even if it's one person who is about to start the journey, who is on the journey and not so sure which way to take next, or those who are looking for guidance in the future. They might just come across the Siphany and Clevena sharing and realize that, hey, these ladies have gone through this before and this is how they navigated this. Let me try this strategy and see how it worked for me. All right, ladies, so thank you so much. Well done, ladies. Based on your response, it shows that you both have or had a diverse university experience. All right, so have in Siphany's case and had for Clevena, because she's about to move on to the next rung of the ladder. Congratulations again, and kudos to you, Siphany.
Thank you
for sharing and continuing to share, because that's what leadership really is, and that's how you strengthen not just yourself and those around you. In whatever you learn, you share with others, the gift that keeps on giving. Love you, sister at Clevena. All right.
love you, sister.
Fantastic. All right. And for those who are new to this space, I'm Winsome, and this is how we do it here. It's a community. So if you're not yet a part of the Toronto Resource Connector community, feel free to join, whether you want to subscribe to YouTube, follow us across social media platforms, go to the Toronto Resource Connector website. That's where you'll find the recap of this and our weekly live forums. So you can get the insights, those you might have missed. You ever notice sometimes you watch a movie 4 times and each time you watch it, you see something new? That's the purpose of the recap. So Mondays, the recaps are done in the form of a blog, sharing the highlights, the nuggets, the resources that are shared so that you can share the snippets with others so that they can come back to the live discussion or the replay of this discussion to get the in-depth insight into what it is that we discussed. All right. Thank you again, ladies, for sharing. Thank you for those who engage with us in the comments. And for those who will be watching the replay, thank you so much. Remember, we do this live every Thursday at 8 p.m. So this is third Thursday. Next, it's going to be fourth Thursday. So we're going to be turning our attention to local governance and community development with the Clarendon Municipal Corporation. Thanks again, and have yourself a fantastic rest of the night. If you found this forum useful, please don't keep it to yourself. Please share with others. Have a fantastic rest of the night.
Yes.